Are you familiar with the Flagrant podcast, formerly the
A little
Flagrant
bit.
podcast?
I'm kind of in the same boat as you, where like I've seen some decent stuff with him, but not as much. I didn't know he did a recent interview, but I'll definitely watch that. I'm a big Cody guy, which is still surprising to me. I was not that excited for him to come back to WWE until he showed up, and then from that moment on, I've been all about it. Like it's been a great run. It's been fun to watch.
Well, this was a decent interview he did. I really enjoyed it. It was, it was like 4 a.m, and I'm like, I'm not sleeping. Let me just watch this for a while.
He's so good at these interviews too. He's the perfect face for the company of the guy who wants to do it all the time. Like he does every interview because he's great in all of them.
Yeah, man, and he carries himself really well, and it's cool like seeing these guys mark out. So actually, one tweet that I don't have pulled up here that I will on the other screen. When I was watching this interview, I had to tweet this out. I go, Cody Rhodes on Flagrant podcast is perfect because they start off by saying we're casuals. The Vince documentary was insane. I feel like I missed out on 20 years of culture. It was mind-blowing television. And we all saw the doc and we were just like, whatever. So to casuals, man, that was like mind-blowing, mind-bending stuff. And I love seeing like Cody explain the business and stuff to just dudes who are casuals. But they had a really good, what impressed me was the hosts had a really great understanding of just like wrestling in general. I don't know. And they're just like the storytelling is the most captivating part. Like I could do a flip. Like Andrew Schultz is saying this. I didn't even know he knew anything about wrestling. And he's like, I could do like a flip. He's like, but to me, that's not as compelling as, storytelling and these sorts of things.
Always.
And Cody's like, right, exactly. But anyways, though, these are things I extrapolated. And some people had some comments and responses. So I just want to talk about it. So I wrote, Cody Rhodes said at the first All In, Rey Mysterio was late getting to the ring because he was taking pictures with wrestlers who couldn't believe he was there. So infamously, the pay-per-view went to the wire and the last match got cut for time. And if you guys remember, Rey Mysterio, like they played his music for so long that genuinely as a fan for a second, I was like, they're either milking the shit out of this or he like no-showed them or something. Like what happened? And man, it turns out like every wrestler was just running up to him like, can I get a picture? Can I get a picture? Yeah, because they couldn't believe he was there.
Marking out. Yeah,
that is hilarious.
Fucking Mark!
But like in a good way, like that's like absolutely hilarious and cute, dude. He also said that him, Kenny Omega, and I should have added more to this because he was very stern on this. He said, he's like, one thing that frustrates me is everyone has a different story about this AEW thing. He's like, that's one of the things that really frustrates me. And he says, him, Omega, the Bucks, and even Jericho all have different stories about who is in the driver's seat and who should take credit for spearheading AEW with Tony Khan. So what do you think about that? Sort of confirming, like, there's more too, but that.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, that's not surprising that he said that because what was it with, he did that interview with Chris Van Vliet where he kind of, where he like said similar stuff where he's like, if I have to be the enemy, like fine, but you can tell it really bothers him because he tries to be truthful as he can with a lot of this stuff. And he's never badmouthed anybody. And it feels like, I mean, even if it's like underhanded and like backhanded, there's so many shots taken at him and at his wife, and you can see that's when he gets pissed. He's like, talk about me all you want, but don't talk about my wife. And as a married man, I can appreciate that. I respect that.
Yeah,
talk
for
about
sure.
Me all you want. Don't talk about my wife, man. Not cool.
No, 100%, man. Family's off limits unless it's family talking. But Jake, he even said, he's like, I can't wait till everyone's own books come out and we get to read the different versions of it. And then Andrew Schultz said it's like The Dirt or whatever, that book where each member of Motley Crue or whatever wrote their own version of the same story and they're just wildly different, And so Cody's like, there'll be a bit of that. Yeah, he also did say that like Tony did have the vision for it. Like he had written Dynamite on a piece of paper like a long time ago, and he did give credit to Tony Khan. So
that seems
Cody Rhodes
consistent in the story is that it is Tony, but it's who was with him and doing what.
Yeah, and like what was the real catalyst? But Cody Rhodes continues on and says that Brandy Rhodes never had beef with Tony Khan, and he did re-sign her. Like people were saying, oh, he re-signed Cody. Tony re-signed Cody, but wouldn't re-sign Brandy. There was that rumor. There was rumors that like Brandy didn't get along with Tony. So many different CM Punk. There were rumors that like CM Punk, like coming in, Cody went, oh no, I'm out of here, kind of thing, because he knew about it before. But no, he just Cody says that Brandy never had beef with Tony Khan, and he did re-sign her. They were re-signed. He even said, he's like, I could have went to AEW. I didn't even after I met with Vince. He's like, I never even had to like really. I could have mended that and made it okay and just had the comfy job there, He's like, I didn't even think I was going to go back to the. Now, who knows if he's kayfabing or not there, but he says, I didn't even know I'd go back to the Rumble 100%. Even after I met with Vince, it was just basically like, or not the Rumble, pardon me, WrestleMania. And it was all predicated on one match. Sorry, I was thinking the Rumble because he teased the Rumble when he was in AEW. But anyways, it was one match, Seth Rollins, this amount of money, and you're going to be there for 3 years, but like no contract. It was just basically like, here's what's written on a napkin. And like, you're either going to do it or not, pal, or go back to that with that mark. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, they were even the reality show was renewed for season 2, and that the Go Big show or whatever that was with Cody Rhodes on it, where he was the judge with Snoop Dogg. Apparently, like him leaving sort of like kiboshed that show too, or I don't know if they just replaced him with a different judge. But yeah, he could have been on. He was like going to be a judge on that show, so he passed up like a lot of money too. To kind of go back to WWE. And he said that. He's like, it wasn't even monetary. It was more like I saw the writing on the wall, kind of what we've all speculated. But so he goes on to say things got, and these are his words, icky between the Bucks and Kenny and him. So he decided to leave to preserve the good memories he had with those guys, like at the start of AEW and before. And I said, very telling in my opinion. And
weren't the Bucks like faced? Didn't the Bucks get like blurred out in one of the scenes in the Roads to the Top show? I remember them being like in the background. There was two people, their faces were blurred out, and people were saying that was the Bucks. And then I think that's why they did that All Access show, because TBS or TNT had them booked for a reality show that was going to be season 2, and they did the other thing, which nobody else watched.
Yeah, shout out Kenny Omega, who was like, I ain't being on any of those.
Yeah.
Dude, he wasn't. He was like, I'm not being on none of that. You just see him walking in the background when the Bucks are just marking out for themselves. And that's what they do, bro. They sit there. I'm gonna do a 10 minutes of Young Bucks video. I'm gonna do it. I gotta do it. It's just like mind numbing to go through that reality show again. Dude, for real. But the Bucks sit there and like mark out for themselves in front of literal empty buildings where the crowd's dead as and you're just like, wow, these guys really, but anyways, though, things got icky with them. And that's very telling because I don't know, man. He literally said like he would rather preserve the good memories he had with them, like at the beginning and before, than let it go. Like that's sort of why he left, instead of like let it get to a level where I guess he couldn't like respect these dudes or a couple of these dudes, or who knows, man. I believe there were responses to this. He goes, I have no clue what to believe because Cody previously said he had no issues with the Buckaroos and Omega. Well, let me elaborate, Dan Brown 0531. He doesn't have issues with them because he distanced. But he's basically confirming here, like, if I had stayed, there would have been issues.
Yeah.
It was getting gross. Icky. What else does icky mean? Right? What's a synonym for icky? Like gross, disgusting, I don't know. A volatile, I don't know. So it was icky, bro. Believe what he's saying now because it's consistent. He's not saying he had a problem with them. This guy says it's sounding like one of the old rumors may have basis in fact. Story was he and the Elite were on different extremes of how AEW should be booked, and that Tony sided with the Elite. That's super evident. He sided with them over CM Punk as well. Ratings show Tony should have listened to Cody. Cody breathes pro wrestling, Bucks choke on it. Yep. This guy says here, Calm Viv says, after a few years, we finally found out that Bucks and Kenny contributed to him leaving. So much for everyone blaming Punk in a situation. Yeah, exactly. So, and I'm not saying like, oh, it was all Kenny. It was probably more the Bucks, but then Kenny's going to be with the Bucks no matter what,
He's lumped in with them.
Yeah. So it's just, it's how it gets. That's why it's icky. That's how you describe it, as icky, you know? But anyways, he also goes on to say, and I thought this was very interesting too. You know, he's describing his dad and how his dad, well, he's telling stories about like wrestlers would always just find a reason to like get their shirts off and get a tan and get their clothes off. He's like, even if they didn't have the best physique. And then they sort of get into the conversation of, you know, body shaming or whatever. It wasn't even it was just like a brief sort of moment within the long interview. But Cody Rhodes also says that he thinks it's weird, and he says it's weird. Wrestlers and fans are offended by body shaming. And he's like, dude, I think we have a problem with effort shaming. People try hard at things and people want to tear them down, you know, whether it's getting in shape or, you know, becoming world champion or whatever. He's like, but at the end of the day, there's a certain level of, he's like, and people might say, oh, you're being old school, Cody, da da da. He's like, but you have to take and he even, that's his own biggest criticism. He's like, when I was Stardust, I should have been like getting in the best shape of my career and working towards that net, you know. He's like, but I was just mad and not voicing things and getting resentful. You can't do that. He's like, you just get in the best shape you can and do what you can. But anyways, he goes, it's weird that people are offended by body shaming wrestlers. He said he finds it weird that wrestlers get offended by this too. He calls them out and he goes, he says that fans pay hundreds of dollars to see them fight with their shirts off. And it's ridiculous to think fans can't comment on or criticize what people look like, especially them. And, you know, this guy here says, Jason says, I'm in no place to body shame anyone, but we should expect a professional athlete to look like professional athletes. And exactly. I said, that's what Cody said, because he did. And I went, yo, a guy pumping gas doesn't got to look like anything, but when he slaps his money on the table to see athletes, they better look their part. Yeah, Cody Rhodes keeping it real though, whether you agree with him or not. Yeah, that's what I extrapolated from that, and I don't know if that's a shot at Adam Cole, but I don't know, a bit of a callback to last night's live show with where Awful popped on, and it is, but yeah, so. Round of applause, I guess, for Cody Rhodes on the Flagrant podcast, guys. That's him keeping it real about AEW and him leaving, and the state of, I think, some of the wrestlers where, I mean, and he said what I say all the time too on this show. He said it. He's like, we hold each other accountable in WWE. Everyone's checking in on each other's fitness. You know, we're all helping each other be the best right now and stuff. That's not going on in AEW. No. So there might be like different cliques of that, but that old cliquey style is, you know, that's why WWE's thriving, is because they, you know,
everybody's got the similar goal. They're trying to push everybody forward. It's a big difference.